This puzzle is going to help you with your benchmarking to estimate fraction sums. So again, we're going to think about whether the fraction is closer to 0, 1/2, or 1 whole to determine if we added up the fractions, would it become greater than 1, less than 1. So taking a look at 1/2 and 3/8. So if you looked at 1/2, 1/2 is half, and 3/8 is less than 1/2. So I'm looking at this as saying that this is going to be less than 1/2, which means if I added them up, my answer would be less than 1, because 1/2 and 1/2 will give you 1 whole, but this is not quite a half, so my answer here would be less than a half. Number 2 is 7/16 plus 1/2. So 7/16 is less than a half because it's less than 8/16. So if it's less than a half and you add another half, you're not going to reach your value of 1. So again, that one would be less than 1. Number 3, you have 1/2 plus 4/7. So half of 7 would be 3.5. So 4/7 is bigger than half, 3.5 over 7. So if you added those together, you would have 1/2 added to a number that is slightly more than a half, so you're going to get a sum that's greater than 1. If you had 2/3 and 7/12, so 2/3 is going to be close to 1, and 7/12 is really close to a half. It's just 1/12 higher than a half. So your answer will be greater than 1 because you have 1 plus that 1/2 when you're estimating. 3/10 plus 4/9. 3/10 is really close to 0. And 4/9 is close to a half. So this answer would be less than 1 because you have 4.5 ninths plus basically 0, which would give you something around a half. It's still going to be less than 1. And the last one in this row, we have 5/8 and 1/20. So half of 8 is 4. So 5/8 is close to a half, and 1/20 is close to 0. So if you added these up, it would be less than 1. So I'm going to jump all the way down to number 10. So we have 3/5 and 4/9. 3/5 is going to be bigger than 1/2. So this is larger than 1/2. And 4/9 is less than 1/2. So you are definitely not going to get about 2 because you have something that's just more than a half and something less than a half. It's going to be about 1. Here you have 7/8. 7/8 is close to 1. And 12/13 also is close to 1. So it's going to be about 2. It's not about 1 because about 1 means less than 1. And if you've got two fractions that are close to being 1 individually, if you add them together, it's going to be about 2. And then 8/15 plus 3/7. 8/15 is about a half. And 3/7 is almost close to a half. And so that one also is going to be about 1. Now let's take a look at number 13. 5/6 is close to 1. 9/10 is close to 1. And 1/4 is close to 0. So 1 plus 1 plus 0 is 2. So this answer is going to be about 2 because we rounded up for all those fractions. I'm going to jump down to number 17. 17/18 is close to 1. 2/5 is close to a half. And 4/15 is close to 0. So this answer is going to be about 1.5. So you can pause the computer, or the video, try the rest of these, and then check your work. You can see that I have circled all the correct answers in yellow. If you can do some of the questions on page 202, 1 through 14, there's a lot there. If you just want to hit all of the evens or all the odds, you can. There's a lot of work, and I know that your time is kind of precious right now. So give those a shot. Good luck.